issue about eating a clean and biblical diet, kosher if you will, it hinges on the understanding between two different Hebrew words, Tahor and Tamei. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 5 of Torah portion, Shemini. This whole Torah portion is about recognizing that Yah is set apart and that we need to prepare our lives to be set apart before Him. It's not as if He has put an insurmountable wall between us or a chasm between us that cannot be crossed. He makes a way for us. Actually, He invites us to Himself. And knowing that we are unclean, that we are not holy or set apart as He is, He provides means for us to achieve that status and then welcomes us into His presence. So the idea that our Creator is some tyrannical despot seated in the heavens, ready with a fistful of lightning bolts and thunder to hurl down on our disobedient, rascally heads, that's just not true. It's not scripturally correct. So, what do we understand about these two words? First of all, let's understand that Yah is light. The word says as much. 1 John chapter 1, in Him is light, and there's no darkness at all, if I can get that out. Yah being light, we also understand from the writings of the works of Rav Shaul or the Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians chapter number 8. Verse 6 says, "For us there is one Elohim, the Father, from whom all came, and from whom we live, and one Master, Yeshua Messiah, through whom all came, and through whom we live." Everything exists because it proceeds from the Father. In the book of Colossians, chapter 1, verse 17, well, let's just go back to verse 16. "Because in Him were created all that are in the heavens and that are on the earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or rulers or principalities or authorities, all have been created through Him and for Him." And then verse 17 says, "And He is before all, and in Him all hold together." Everything created is sustained by and held together by Yeshua, our Messiah. And then finally, in the book of Hebrews, chapter number 1, verse 3, referencing Yeshua, "who being the brightness of the esteem and the exact representation of His substance," that is, He represents the Father perfectly, "and sustaining all by the word of His power, having made a cleansing for our sins through Himself, set down on the right hand of the greatness on high." The key phrase there for us today is that Yeshua sustains all by the word of His power. And again, it's not hard to find in the scriptures that His word, His truth, is light, as opposed to falsehood and lies, deceptions, which are darkness. And so there again is this contrast. So what does this have to do, again, with the two words, Tahor and Tamei? When Yah created all that was created and all that we know, even things that we have not yet discovered, He did so by an infusion of His light. He spoke His word. His word says, "Let there be light," and there was light. This light, creating light, has the ability to permeate, that is, to penetrate into that which was spoken into existence. There is also then that which was created that is called Tamei. If you want to spell that out, transliterated Tamei, Tamei. And that which is Tamei is those things created that are not able to be permeated by His light. So there is this dichotomy and there is this tension between the two parts. That which light can penetrate and that which light cannot penetrate, even Yah's light. For example, the human being. This body, the flesh part, is not permeated by his light. It is more often than not impenetrable by the light. It's Tamei. The flesh in and of itself is Tamei. Now, it can receive Tahor or clean status, but it takes a process. The spirit of the man on the inside, however, is able to be permeated by his light. And therein is where our life change comes. This is our salvation experience. This is our redemption, where his light enters into our innermost being, and our spirit, our soul, is penetrated by him, and we experience a life-giving moment of redemption and salvation. So there is this struggle in all of creation between the two extremes. It's created agitation. It's created violence in the earth. It's been a war between those who choose to walk in a Tahor setting. I am clean. I am penetrated by his light. I give it my life to his light, and those who are on the opposite extreme. Man is filled with this constant frustration. And so let's understand then that man's initial mission was to create opportunities for the light and the life of Yah to move in the earth. The earth has been put into our authority. We've been given dominion over the earth. The purpose of that dominion is to create his light moving and penetrating in the earth. So we come to chapter 11 of the book of Leviticus, and we finally read a text in Leviticus, Leviticus or Vayikra chapter 11, verse 1. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying to them, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, These are the living creatures which you do eat among the beasts that are on the earth. And whatever has a split hoof, completely divided, chewing the cud among the beasts that you do eat. Then he said, Only these you do not eat among those that chew the cud, or those who have a split hoof, the camel, because it chews the cud, but does not have a split hoof. It is unclean to you. And the rabbit, because it chews the cud, but does not have a split hoof. It is unclean to you. And the hare, because it chews the cud and does not have a split hoof. It is unclean to you. And then in verse 7, and the pig, swine, because it has a split hoof, completely divided, yet does not chew the cud, it is unclean to you. Their flesh you do not eat, he says. You do not eat, and their carcasses you do not touch. They are unclean to you. Animals that have split hooves, the split hooves the rabbis teach, say that the animal recognizes the two extremes, Tahor and Tamei. And they're recognizing these things. But when they chew the cud, here's what Plato said, and it's interesting, that a cud-chewing animal will eat the food, goes into the belly, then it's brought back up again, and it's chewed and rudimented, meditated upon again. And it's like a good student. When a good student hears information, they're not able to absorb it all at one time. It goes into their being, and then they bring it back up, and they chew on it, think on it, meditate on it, roll it over and over again, and keep working on it until they thoroughly digest it and understand what the word or what the information says. A swine, a pig, does not do that. It lays out on its side, showing hooves that says, I'm righteous, I'm set apart, I recognize the clean and the unclean, and I'm clean. But it refuses to chew the word. The word goes in, but it just goes down and is passed out. It never takes root. Therefore, it's unclean. When we eat what's unclean, we become unclean and impenetrable by his light. When we eat that which he has set apart and called clean, then his light can penetrate and we walk uprightly. Hope that helps. Shabbat shalom to all of you. May Yah richly bless you and favor you with his presence as you dine together, worship together, study the word as you seek his face. Until next week, Shabbat Shalom.